Welcome, everyone, to the latest episode of Live China Music Podcast. I'm your host, Will Griffith.
And I'm Ellie Rosenberg, the co-host.
Yes, and we're so happy we're here with our fourth episode. I think we're starting to get the hang of this. It took a bit, but I think we're figuring this out.
Right. Let's just get into it.
Yeah, we got a lot of great tracks this week. Let's just get right into it. What's our first track today, Ellie?
The first track today is Nothing Special, Just Singing All the Way by Thermostat.
So that was Thermostat, basically a lo-fi noise pop project started by Robing. And I've known this musician through Street Voice. Could you give people a little background on what Street Voice is, first off?
Yeah, so Street Voice is a distribution company. So what they do is, if you give them music, they'll put it up on different platforms. And they might even help by promoting your tracks when you release them. And they're a Taiwanese company that's doing very well on mainland China right now.
Mm-hmm. And so, yes, I've met this musician. He works for Street Voice. And so when, one day he just kind of passed over like this project that he had been working on, Thermostat. And I really came to it. It's a very, like, a couple weeks ago we listened to some like kind of this woozy kind of synth pop sound, but I really like what he's doing with it here, because it's not trying to be cute or kind of overly romantic or anything. It feels very much like a fever dream in some way.
Yeah, and I was listening to it, I think last week when you first sent it over, and I was listening to the whole album, and it's been a while since I've been able to put an album that I'm not familiar with and just have it play in the background, sometimes stop whatever I'm doing and just pausing to enjoy the moment.
This is off of an EP he just put out called Daria, which is basically, it says, centered on the story of a lost puppy, said Daria. But I just kind of, it is a great EP to just kind of have on in the background, and it just kind of, it is very immersive in that way. It kind of just takes over. It has this vibe, this certain atmosphere that is really, the production on this is stellar. I just love the layers, how they just kind of blur together. It reminds me of like a lot of the music I might have been like listening to maybe in like the late 2010s, in the late, maybe early like 2000s or something, like when you're just going to university and just trying to, just forget about everything that's happening around you and just zero in on the sound.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing this one, Will. People should know that 90% of the music we're listening to is Will's recommendations, by the way. How do you find your stuff? I mean, that's a question I think a lot of people have. Is like, how do you find the music?
So I have kind of gotten this down to a routine at this point. Obviously, it changes. It's been changing over the years as whatever new streaming sites or new apps have come to light. So at the moment, it's a combination of, and this is a good one for international folks out there, Bandcamp, Tag, China. It's amazing how much will come out of that now, because bands nowadays are a lot more adamant about getting their music on places like Bandcamp. And so if you use the China tag, you can unearth a lot of great stuff. So that's one of my things. I also use Wangyi, which is the Chinese kind of streaming site. And so I kind of go on deep dives through there, both through new releases and also just there's this kind of thing where you can find a similar artist. So if you pick on an artist, you can kind of trail like what artists they follow. And this kind of just jump like leapfrog from one artist to another until you eventually get to someone you've never even heard of before. And so I do that. And then the last thing is I just look at I subscribe to lots of WeChat accounts. I go in my moments, and just because I have lots of friends in the business, you know usually when something new is coming out. And it's just a combination of all of these things.
Nice. Good tips. Let's move on to the next track, which is by the band 浪味仙贝 世界第一自恋狂. The track's name is The World's Number One Narcissist.
喜欢小狗，喜欢气氛秀的散文语，喜欢用尽利用信息。如果明天就死掉，今天也要开心过。我说我对，就是我要建立我的帝国。你知道世界上最残酷的是什么？最后所有人都离开我。
Yeah, Lonely Cookies. This is a band originally from Wuhan, eventually moved over to Hangzhou. This was like one of my first kind of discoveries when I first visited Wuhan like 10 years ago or so. And they're kind of like one of the city's kind of most well-known bands there, alongside acts like Chinese Football, who are also on the same label as them, Wild Records. And I just love this kind of firecracker, kind of noisy indie pop sound. It's kind of, it has this bubblegum, I guess, sensation to it, but it's also like scrappy and a little noisy. And it's really, really lots of fun.
Yeah, I think I'll be going actually to Wuhan at the end of the month, because the same people behind that label are also behind the Vox, concert venues, and they're celebrating 20 years of opening Vox, which is a major feat.
Wow. Yeah, 20 years. Oh my God.
Yeah. So should be able to say hi. And the music video that came out with this track is pretty fun as well. I was looking at it a bit earlier today, actually, and it kind of reminded me of our days in Beijing, Will and I. Boy. Sitting outside on the street by the 7-Eleven, getting some beers.
Yeah, it definitely does kind of bring back to mind a lot of those kind of long nights where you're just going from one place to another, sneaking into venues, just drinking on the curbs, and the video is awesome. You might even like notice some cameos in there from bands we've talked about already, like Wasted Leica, who show up in one of the video scenes. So yeah, looking forward. They should have a new LP out very soon. So looking forward to that.
Yeah. So you're talking about narcissists and narcissism. I was spending a little bit of time on Spotify looking at our comments, and it turns out we have a few people who've commented very kindly to our first 2 episodes. And I thought,
oh, that's sweet.
Yeah.
Who?
Well, actually, I was sitting with one of them just an hour and a half ago. So Anthony from Ireland is doing research on the music industry, the music communities in China in general, and he's just visiting Kunming. So he came by the office and
nice.
Said hi. But he did comment on the first episode of, a few weeks back. He said, "Great work. Looking forward to the next one." So, cheers, Anthony.
Mm-hmm. And I noticed another name here. Is this Brad Throughouten Brad, I believe?
It is.
Our dear friend who actually did, who helped us out a little bit in the beginning with setting us up with, making sure that we're doing everything right while putting these together. So yeah, thank you, Brad, aka Throughouten. Check out his music.
Yeah, if you're into ambient, don't miss out on his Bandcamp. And also wanted to say thanks to BXY. I said exciting, looking forward to next. It's important for us to get comments because we do need feedback so that we can improve, make it better. And also, if you have a minute and just want to rate it or comment on the podcast, it's how the algorithms work. If you like the content, if you like what we're talking about, anything that can share it with more people, that's wonderful.
Please do. Gloves off too. Like if there's anything we need to improve, just let us know, because that's the only way we're going to learn.
Yeah, especially Will. So anyways, let's move on to the next track. So we started off with some pretty light stuff, and for the rest of today, it's going to get darker and darker.
I mean, I feel like the next track is, we're still in good hands here. So, we're going to head to Hefei now for Nemassle, the Chinese name, Ellie?
匿名私聊.
Mm-hmm. And this is another young up-and-coming band who kind of defied genre, a bit of grunge, some pop punk, noise rock, and in this track, we're dipping almost towards more emo aspirations here. But I just kind of love how energetic and just how tight it all sounds. So what's the track?
The track is Hui Hong Part 2, which is Gray Rainbow Part 2. Let's give it a spin.
那么冷漠。和我一起来感受着收入的时刻。你为何还在装饰过的不错？我只看到色特年轻的魂魄。
So yeah, adolescence pains. I mean, you can't go wrong with being angsty youth here. I really dig these guys. They released their debut last year, which kind of was kind of a harder, more punk sound. And so this new track has me very curious about what direction they might be heading in. But nevertheless, very excited.
Sounds like they're edging towards a Sonic Youth, Sonic Nurse album kind of sound. Would you say that is a bit the direction?
Okay. Wait, Sonic Nurse?
Yeah, it's one of the Sonic Youth albums from the
Oh, dude,
90s.
I know nothing. Look at me.
Are they signed to a label?
They are not signed to a label. They are part of like a new generation of bands kind of in this part of China who are all kind of networking around one another. And a lot of these bands do like kind of have, I guess, I don't want to say they have DIY aspirations. I'm sure deep down they would love to be picked up by someone, but they're very good at doing this all on their own, and they know how to navigate the scene much better than I feel bands did, I don't know, like a decade ago.
China's music industry has been evolving very fast in the last 2 or 3 years, but it's been evolving positively in the past 10, 15 years. I mean, there's debate to be had about the artisticity of some of the music that's coming out now compared to the late 90s, early noughties. But in terms of the music industry and the ability to tour, to put music out there, there's been tremendous improvement. And I'm not really sure, that they would love to be signed to a label, because Chinese record labels have built a poor reputation among musicians in China. I know a lot of musicians, artists that are actually quite reluctant to sign with a company.
Yeah, it's the deal with the devil kind of thing, where like signing with a label, it does have its drawbacks, and yeah, we've all heard horror stories of plenty from lots of bands. And, we've seen it, and obviously labels are still necessary, and a lot of them are doing great things. But it is heartening to see lots of young bands deciding to just build up their own audiences and, find ways to do it on their own.
That's why I'm so hopeful also about Chinese music in general. I've seen improvements across the board, including with record labels and how they conduct business, and the bands and the technicians and all that. I have high hopes for the next few years.
Likewise. Shall we move on to you want to get a little nastier, let's get a little noisier. Let's head to Chengdu for some gnarly shoegaze.
Yes.
What's our next track?
The next track is Bloom and Decay by San Tong San. talked with the band before recording this episode, and it was not super easy to find these guys, but they're super nice, and they were also nice enough to share some information about the song specifically. They say it's an experimental exploration combining fuzz pedals with acoustic simulator pedals. They talk about how the guitar wall's texture undergoes transformations within the track, and so people who are into manipulation of sound and live manipulation of sound, this is definitely down your alley. And they also mentioned specifically the bass, which is a bass 6, they say. So it's a 6-string with a low cut switch, which, not being a musician, I don't know what that means. I mean, I have a general idea. To inject, and I quote, to inject ferociously dense low-end walls while avoiding muddiness.
So so this is a duo where basically solving the problem of like, well, what if we don't have a drummer for our shoegaze band? What's the option? Well, here it's just opt out and just throw in some really awesome pulsating like electronic dance beats instead. And yeah, as you said, like it really does blend together well. It's heavy. There's so much going on, but you never really get lost in it.
There's also debate in general about the use of vocoders and voice manipulation, but I think they do it well because they're so blunt about it, and it just works well with the track.
Oh yeah, I mean at this point, like when you have so many walls of sound surrounding you, manipulating your voice is like the least of my worries at that point. Just go for it. And that's what I love about this track. It just goes for it with like the glitches, the static, the drones, the ambient fuzz that just kind of runs over the whole thing. Yeah, I love how like many different avenues shoegaze can go in.
The next track, we're pulling a little bit away from shoegaze, but we are going a little bit deeper into the darkness. And the title of the track is Humanity by the band FEED.
We're deep in like post-punk territory here, and I love a band that can get this rowdy on a track like this. Obviously, you can clearly hear influences of Robert E. Smith in there and stuff. There's such an undeniable energy to this song that kind of just hoists you up immediately as soon as it begins.
Yeah, and I have a weakness for bands that talk about Foucault. He's talking about, schools and hospitals, which anyone who's gone into Foucauldian theory, you know what he's about.
And so these guys are from Xiamen, the coastal city down south. pretty freshly baked band. I think they're already looking for a new drummer. So, listeners out there, if any of you want to head to Xiamen and become the drummer of FEED, please jump in our messages.
Yeah. Cool. Let's talk about the next track.
For our last track today, we're gonna head to another coastal city, Qingdao, where the world famous Qingdao beer is brewed, and with a young band called Emo Cloud. Now, if you can't guess what genre of music we're dealing with here, then, well, that's on you. So let's listen to 12 by Emo Cloud.
For our listeners, before we play the track, be warned, it is a little bit aggressive.
Don't be such a baby, listeners. Get a grip on yourself, listeners. Aggressive.
Yeah, you there, being all frail and delicate. You can do it. You can do it. So this track, what comes to mind for me is Venetian snares meets At the Drive-In.
Ooh, I like that. I like that combo.
And I love it.
Yeah, it's a great combo. That kind of, that kind of breakcore and screamo kind of emo sound. They really do complement each other quite well. It's this bursting at the seams kind of both technically and emotionally that you just really rouse you up. I mean, I love these guys. I had them do a show of mine last October, and it seems like they're, slowly putting together the pieces for an LP finally. And I'm every track they've been putting out, I'm just super excited to see the finished product.
I was wondering how it translates live. So you said you had them in October. How does this energy work in the live?
I mean, I can't. I mean, this track did not come into play during their set, as far as I can remember. But their set in general is a very kind of emotional roller coaster that kind of dips in and out of like slow build-ups and then just bursts of cathartic energy that kind of just sweeps you up. I think at the end of their set, they were just on the dance floor. People were just surrounding them. Everyone was just kind of singing along together, screaming their guts out. And one of my best moments last year.
Wow. Well, I hope they swing by Kunming one of these days. So maybe now is the time to talk about tomorrow.
What's going on tomorrow?
Well, Instincto Industrio are performing at Modern Sky in Kunming.
Oh, okay. At Modern Sky, Kunming, I believe. I mean, they're your hometown heroes.
They are the unsung heroes of Kunming because a lot of people actually don't realize they're based here. But yeah, so they're doing a concert tomorrow. I'm gonna, go and check it out, see if there's been changes. And their second album is going to be released this year. I believe it will be released in June, although I'm not quite sure yet.
Wow. It's quite the turnaround. I feel like their debut was only just like last year, I feel.
It was only last year, probably early. I think maybe March or February last year.
Cool. I have another show this weekend. I'm organizing a small, just a gathering of new bands that I'm, that I've been meaning to check out. And what easier way to check them out than to just organize it yourself. Besides that, I should try to get in another show tomorrow. We'll see. But yeah, just trying to get into the swing of things this spring, and let's see what that brings.
Yeah, sounds good. So I think that's it for us today.
Yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed the tracks. We said earlier, like we're getting the hang of this. We've got like a routine down, and I'm already excited about the tracks we have for next time. And so can't wait to come back. Yeah.
Same here. Just love discovering the tracks you throw at me, and please don't hesitate to reach out to us. You can also email at livechinamusic@gmail.com. If you have any kind of feedback, if you want to know more about the bands, if you want to, what's happening, or any question you might have, we're happy to hear from you.
Well, in that case, till next time, everyone, this has been the Live China Music Podcast, and we can't wait to share some more music from China
with you.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. Like, do I need to keep saying words there? Can I just stop it there instead of...
Could you please stop?
Okay. Sorry, everyone. Apologies. It's a long day.